You're still watching TVC Breakfast. It's now time to find out what's happening from all over the world. And the only lady that will give us accurate information is standing by. Let's welcome Olamide Odekule. Good morning.
Ria, you flatter me. I'll do my best. We haven't got time. So shall we see what the world is talking about this morning?
Take it away.
Let's get into it. Good morning, Nigeria. Like I always say, TVC has a finger on the pulse and our eyes on the streets. And here on the Trending Now segment, my team and I do our best on a daily basis to bring you all the trending stories that are shaping the world that you and I live in. We begin today in Kebbi State, where Kebbi is under growing scrutiny after approving a 10 billion naira loan to secure 1,300 additional seats for the 2026 Hajj pilgrimage. Now, the State Pilgrims Welfare Agency says the loan was necessary to meet NACON's 5th December deadline, warning that the state risks losing hundreds of slots. This money will be disbursed through selected financial institutions, with repayments spread out over time. Officials are defending the move as a social support measure to help low-income Muslims fulfill a religious obligation. But critics argue that this decision raises serious questions, especially as Hajj in Islam is only compulsory for those who are physically and financially capable. Many scholars also discourage borrowing for Hajj if it creates hardship or diverts essential resources. Public sentiment online say that Kebbi's choice reflects a wider challenge among state governments that are opting for short-term popular spending instead of long-term investments in productivity. That debate is, of course, much sharper in Kebbi State, where literacy rates sit among the lowest in the country. Very interesting and very controversial. Let's take a look at social media. Sharif says, it is clearly stated in the hadith that Hajj is for those who are financially capable. Nigerian government should stop sponsoring people who can't feed themselves to Hajj using taxpayers' money. And a typical African says, loans are supposed to be used to create businesses or invest to make profit for repayment. What sort of misplaced religious priority makes someone take a loan for a Hajj that won't generate income? This is why we struggle in this part of the world. Now, team, we're not going to hopefully go based off of opinion or sentiment or religious loyalty here. We're going to look at the facts. And the fact is that Kebbi State does stand, with extremely low literacy rates. And so for this to be the priority of the Kebbi State government, of course, it's very worrisome for people online who are saying that right now their priorities seem misplaced, especially because this will be funded using taxpayer money.
Yeah. Mr. Biodun.
Yeah, it's quite obvious that not only Kebbi State, any state in Nigeria should not borrow money to send people to Hajj, no matter what, or as a loan or one thing or the other. The Quran is very clear. If you have the capacity and the means to, then go to Hajj. If you don't want to go to Hajj or you don't have the means, you don't have to go, for that pilgrimage. So for me, it's quite clear that this is totally unnecessary borrowing, adding to the burden, the economic burden the country is faced with. What about schools? Kebbi State is one of the states, with the lowest education rate in Nigeria. So why not borrow to send children to school? Why borrow, to send people to Hajj?
I'll just pick it up from where Mr. Biodun has left it. Why not borrow to send children to school? Why borrowing for Hajj? And make it make sense. It's a very unnecessary, borrowing. And, you said something, Olamide, which made a lot of sense. When we talk about KB and education, it's not so strong. The education is not very solid. And we know what education does. So why don't we even borrow for something better? I'm not saying Hajj is not better. Hajj is amazing. If you have the money to go to Hajj, fair enough, you should go. But now saying that you are borrowing money to go to Hajj, the question is, how do you then pay back? That's going to be the big question. How do you pay back the loan that you have taken? And this one, we now see that, there's a big deficit somewhere. So I just think that we should know our priorities right as Nigerians, and also as a governor, you should know the right thing to do. I do not think that this is the right idea at all.
I think the Islamic, according to how, Olabde, your story is actually balanced. The Quran is very explicit about this. You do not borrow for pilgrimage. You do not borrow to go to Hajj. In fact, part of the pillars of Islam, the 5 pillars of Islam, Hajj comes last. And it says, meaning that for those who are able to do it. So the government or anyone borrowing to go to Hajj, and it's even worse if what you have borrowed or the loan you're getting is interest-based. And that's riba. And it's forbidden in Islam. In fact, you can go to hellfire because of that. So if the government is saying, yeah, I want to make it a gift for my citizens, there is no problem. but provided you have attained all righteousness, you have attained everything, development for your citizens, schools, health, security, and everything is there. This is a secular state. You know, there are not only Muslims in that state. So do you also do the same for the other religious and for religious persons who are going on pilgrimage? So we need to get our priorities right. So much so that if you want to send people on Hajj, you're not borrowing to pay loan. And if you're doing that, it should not be, Hajj should not be the priority. It should be the last thing on the mind of the government.
Absolutely, indeed. Team Kebbi State is now faced with a choice, spending popular spending, or spending for sustained development. Mashallah, thank you all for your input.
Yeah.
Moving on, a disturbing food security alert is trending across Nigeria this morning, where a viral video showing a man mixing palm oil with concentrated dye has sparked nationwide outrage and urgent calls for NAFDAC to step in. Now, the footage first circulated late November and appears to show the vendor enhancing the oil's color to mimic high-quality red palm oil. Of course, health experts say that this practice is very dangerous, and medical professionals, including health influencer Dr. Chinonso Egemba, known as Aproko Doctor, are warning now that dye-tainted oil can pose serious health risks, including cancer. Well, in a demonstration online, he suggested a simple home check. Mix your oil with water, because pure oil separates clearly while adulterated oil bleeds color. Have a look at this.
This is wickedness. What do you mean you're putting dye inside palm oil just so that it will look red? And then you're selling it to people, knowing that what people are actually drinking or putting in their food is not actual palm oil, but something mixed with dye. And you know the funny thing, we don't even know the type of dye that you're using. There's certain dyes that are actually carcinogenic, which can actually lead to cancer in some people. So when you
Now, the reactions across social media suggest that part of the problem is largely driven by consumer preference, as many Nigerians insist on unnaturally bright red palm oil, creating incentives for these people to manufacture and cut corners. And many people on social media are now rightly urging NAFDAC to investigate immediately and identify the individual seen in the video. Let's have a look at social media. This is very worrisome. Dr. Yoni Johnson says, stop poisoning Nigerians. Adding dye to palm oil is not business. It is slow murder. Many of these dyes are carcinogenic, damaging the liver, kidneys, blood, and increasing long-term cancer risks. Palm oil should be naturally red from carotenoids, not chemicals. Buyers, buy from your trusted sources only. Sellers, your profit is not worth someone's life. Food safety is public health. Do the right thing. I couldn't have said it better myself. Olori had this to say. She says, even if you check this in your home, how do you check it when it's used outside to cook for you when you buy or order food in restaurants? God, I beg. It's a shame, team. I'm going to come from the angle here of the insecurity we're seeing in terms of food. There's a food crisis in Nigeria. For the longest time, the World Health Organization has warned Nigeria that you are in a food crisis. And if you ask me, this is where the problem stems from: a lack of proper infrastructure in our food security. And this is leading to vendors like this becoming greedy and increasingly putting all of our lives at risk. I mean, palm oil is medicinal. It is the blood in the land. And to adulterate it like this, imagine the millions that have already been affected and have no idea. Mr. Biodun.
It's quite unfortunate. I mean, this is, who do you blame for this? I mean, these are fellow Nigerians, who are behaving in this way. I mean, when you look at the issue of this palm oil, it first surfaced in November. By now, this guy and so many other people involved should have been arrested, be in custody by now, being tried, so that we can lay good examples for others not to emulate them. But currently, no one is sure whether the guy has been arrested. I mean, something needs to be done urgently. The fact of the matter is you cannot adulterate palm oil. It's no longer palm oil. It's either palm oil without the dye, or you're selling something else. You can't blame Nigerians for their preference, for clear, red palm oil. We can't blame Nigerians for that. But the fact of the matter is the criminals who are trying to exploit this needs to be flushed out. of the system.
Absolutely.
Of course, yes. And Olamide, oftentimes we are always blaming the federal government, but we are ourselves. This is one person that I'll say you must be a wicked person to do this, because at the end of the day, you are making money, but people are dying. Sometimes we wake up with some strange sicknesses, and we see that it's not even only the elderly people. You see a lot of young people dying. Somebody has just fallen down, collapsed. You don't even know. Maybe it's the things you're taking. Now, they're telling us that when we buy the palm oil, we should check in our house. But what about when we go outside to eat? What about those of us that will go outside to buy food? This is very sad, and I believe that any person doing this, you're making gains for your pockets, but you are killing lives. You should really, really think about it yourself and know that what you're doing is really horrible. This is one person that we've caught. Olamide, I tell you, there are thousands of people that are doing this. And we say in the Bible that be your brother's keeper. How are we our brother's keeper? When you know that this thing, you yourself, would you use this palm oil and cook? It's really saddening. And I pray that he's brought the book.
That's man inhumanity to man. And we see, oftentimes we always blame the government, but this is someone.
Yeah.
I saw this video, some time ago and showed someone, and the person said, it's just food, coloring. I said, do you even need to change the color of what you sell? Go to the market, you tell them, why is your own measurements, very small? Why did you cook it? They say because they want to make sales. If they tell Nigerians the right price, they will not buy it, they'll go to other customer. Let them go. Whatever belongs to you will not go, will not leave you. If God has destined that for you, it will always get to you no matter how much you try.
Absolutely.
I mean, you try to, reject it or take it. So let's be very careful. Let's be our brother's keeper.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Oftentimes, like you've all rightly said, we question the value that the Nigerian government places on a Nigerian life. I have to ask, what value does the average Nigerian place on Nigerian life? Thank you so much for your input, team.